Everybody can take a moment before we get underway to turn off any gadgets that make noise or have potential to make noise, i.e. phones and such. That would be great. So basically, we're really excited to have Andrew here again. He's been back here. He's been in the store before for previous books. He's a longtime Bay Area writer and journalist. Many of you may have heard Andrew on Michael Krasny's Forum show this morning. The 13 short stories in Birds of Paradise Lost explore the lives of Vietnamese immigrants both in America and in Vietnam. Their memories of war, murder, re-education camps, escape, shipwreck, survival, and rebuilding shimmer with humor and pathos, the kind of tender humanity and eloquence that Andrew brings to all of his work. Andrew Lam is the author of Perfume, Dreams, Reflections on the Vietnamese Diaspora, which won the 2006 PEN Open Book Award, and East Eats West, Writing in Two Hemispheres. He's an editor and co-founder for New American Media, and was a regular commentator on NPR's All Things Considered for many years. It's another member of our audience who's also been that, but I won't point him out. His essays have appeared in newspapers and magazines such as the New York Times, the LA Times, San Francisco Chronicle, Chicago Tribune, Mother Jones, and The Nation, among many others. Of Andrew's work, Maxine Hong Kingston says, "Read Andrew Lam and bask in his love of language and his compassion for people, both those here and those from far away. He reminds us that we have history in common. We can laugh and cry together." Please give Andrew Lam a warm welcome.
Thank you so much, and thank you for coming out tonight. I want to do a little shout out to my friend and mentor, Richard Rodriguez, who wrote a lovely preface to my first book, and his part Jimmy. And then there's Mr. and Mrs. Calder, who are parents of my junior high friend, Michael Calder, who sent them tonight to tape me so that he can watch it. I hadn't seen Michael Calder for 33 years, and then we reunited about 3 weeks ago, and we actually walked around in our old school and took pictures. It's rather silly, but it was really fun, and I thought tonight I'm going to read a piece that sort of that came out of my memory of that first classroom in America, where there is this teacher and there's a new kid coming from Vietnam. And it's called Show and Tell. And I must excuse myself for the dirty language that I'm about to read, since there's so many respectable people in the audience. But such as it is, in junior high, we swear a lot.
I never heard Michael swear.
Show and Tell. Mr. K brought in the new kid near the end of the semester doing what he called oral presentation, and everybody else called 7th grade show and tell. "This is Cao Long Din," he said, "and he's from Vietnam." And immediately me and old Billy say, "Cool." "What's so cool about that?" Kevin, who sat behind him, asked, and Billy say, "Idiot, don't you know anything? That's where my dad came back from with this big old scar on his chest and a bunch of grossed out stories, and that's where they have helicopters and guns and VCs and all this crazy shit." Billy would have gone on, but Mr. K said, "Be quiet, Billy." Mr. K stood behind the new kid and drummed his fingers on the kid's skinny shoulders like they were little flapping wings. He tried to be nice to the new kid, I could tell, but the kid looked nervous anyway. The way he hugged his green backpack, you'd think it was a lifesaver. "Cao Long Ding is a Vietnamese refugee," Mr. K said, and he turned around and wrote "Cao Long Ding refugee" in blue on the blackboard. "Cao doesn't speak any English yet, but he'll learn soon enough, so let's welcome him, shall we?" And we did. We all applauded. But mean old Billy decided to boo him just for the hell of it. And Kevin made a few others started to laugh, and the new kid blushed like a little girl. When we were all done applauding and booing, Mr. K gave him a seat in front of me, and he sat down without saying hello to anybody, not even to me, his neighbor. and I had gone out of my way to flash him a smile. But right away, I started to smell this nice smell from him. It reminded me of eucalyptus or something. I was going to ask him what it was, but the new kid took out his Hello Kitty notebook and began to draw in it like he'd been doing it forever. Drawing and scrawling and paying no mind to anyone, even when show and tell already started and it was, I'm sorry to say, my turn. Tell you the truth, I didn't want it to be my turn. I could be funny and all, and I hated being in front of class as much as I hated anything. But what can you do? You go up when it's your turn, that's what. So when Mr. K called my name, I brought my family tree chart and taped it on the blackboard under where Mr. K wrote, Cao Long Din Refugee. But before I even started, Billy say, Bobby's so poor he only got half a tree. And everybody laughed. I wanted to say something back real bad then and there. But as usual, I held my tongue because I was a little afraid of Billy. Okay, I lied. More than a little afraid. But if I weren't so fearful of that big dumb ox, I could have said a bunch of things like, well, at least I have half a tree. Some people, they only have sorry-ass warmongers with big old scars for a daddy. Or I could say, what's wrong with half a tree? It's much better than having shit for brains. Or something like that. Anyway, not everybody laughed at Billy's butt's wipe of a comment. Mr. K, for instance, didn't laugh. He looked sad, in fact, shaking his head like he was giving up on Billy and saying, shh, Billy, how many times do I have to tell you to be quiet in my class? And the new kid, he didn't laugh neither. He just stared at my tree like he was trying to figure out what it was. But when he saw me looking at him, he blushed and pretended like he was busy drawing. I knew he wasn't. He was curious about my drawing, my sorry excuse of a family tree. If you want to know why, the awful truth is only half a tree because my mama wouldn't tell me about the other half. Your daddy was a jackass, she said, and so is his entire family. That's all she said. But mama, I say, it's for my oral presentation. And it's important. But she said, so what? So nothing, that's what. So my daddy hangs alone on this little branch on the left side. He left when I was 4, so I don't remember him very well. All I remember is that he was real big and handsome. I remember him hugging and kissing and reading me a bedtime story once or twice, and then he was gone. Only my sister Charlene remembers him well on account of Charlene's being 3 years older than me. Charlene remembers us having a nice house when my daddy was still around and mama didn't have to work. And she remembers a lot of fighting and yelling and flying dishes and broken vases and stuff like that. One night the battle between mama and daddy got so bad that Charlene said she found me hiding in the closet under a bunch of mama's clothes with my eyes closed and my hand over my ear saying, stop, please, stop, please, stop, stop, please. Like I was singing or chanting or something. I don't remember any of that stuff. It just feels like my entire life is spent living in this crummy apartment at the edge of the city and that mama has been working at Max's diner forever. So what did I do? I started out with a big lie. I had rehearsed the whole night for it. I said my daddy's dead. Dead from a car accident a long, long time ago. I say he was an orphan, so that's why there's only half a tree. So fuck you, Billy. Then I started on the other half. I know the other half real well because all my mama's relatives are crazy or suicidal. There was, for example, my great-great-granddaddy Charles Boyle III, who was this rich man in New Orleans and who had 10 children and a big old plantation during the Civil War. Too bad he supported the losing side because he lost everything and killed himself after the war ended. Then there was my granddaddy, Jonathan Quentin, who became a millionaire from owning a gold mine in Mexico, and then he lost it all in alcohol and gambling, and then he killed himself. And there was my grandma Mary, who was a sweetheart and who had 3 children and who killed herself before the bone cancer got to her. And there were a bunch of cousins who went north and east and west and who knows where else. And they became pilots and doctors and lawyers, and maybe some of them killed themselves too. And I wouldn't be a bit surprised if they did, because Mama said it's kind of like a family curse or something. I went on like that for some time, going through a dozen lives before I got to the best part. See here? That's my great aunt Jenny and Quentin, all alone on this branch because she's an old maid. She's still alive too, 97 years old and with only half of mine, and she lives in this broken down mansion outside of New Orleans, and she wears old tattered clothes and talks to ghosts and curses them Yankees for winning the war. I saw her once when I was young. Great Aunt Jenny scared the hell out of me because she had an old shotgun and everything. And she didn't pay her electric bill, so her big old house was always dark and scary and haunted. If you stay overnight there, the Confederate ghosts will pull your legs or rearrange your furniture, or worse, steal your underwear. So in summary, had we won the war 100 years ago, we might have all stayed around in the South. But as it is, my family tree has its leaves fallen all over the States. So that's it now, I'm done, thank you. Tommy went after me. He told about stamp collecting. He brought 3 albums full of pretty stamps, stamps 100 years old, and stamps as far as the Vatican and Sri Lanka. He told how hard it was for him to have a complete collection of Pope John Paul II. Then it was Cindy's turn. She talked about embroidery, and she brought with her 2 favorite pillowcases with pictures of playing pandas and dolphins that she embroidered herself. She even showed us how she stitches, what each stitch is called, and how rewarding it was to get the whole thing together. And Kevin talked about building a tree house with his dad and how fun it was. He even showed us the blueprint that he and his daddy designed together, and photos of himself hanging out on the tree house, waving and swinging from a rope like a monkey with his friends, and it looked like a great place to hide too, if you're pissed off at your mama or something and then the bell rang. Robert, Mr. K said, I wonder if you'd be so kind as to take care of our new students and show him the cafeteria. Why me, I asked, and made a face like I had to take the garbage out at home when it wasn't even my turn. Mr. K said, why not you, Robert? You're a nice one. Oh, no, I'm not, I said. Oh, yes, you are, he said, and wiggled his bushy eyebrows up and down like Groucho Marx. Oh, sorry. Oh, no, I'm not. Oh, yes, you are. Okay, I said, but just today, okay? Though I kind of wanted to talk to the new kid anyway, and Mr. K said, thank you, Robert Quentin Mitchell. And he called the new kid over and put one arm around his shoulders and the other around mine. And then he said, Robert, this is Cal. Cal, this is Robert. Robert will take care of you. You both can bring your lunch back here and eat if you want. And we're having a speed tournament today, and there's a new X-Men comic book for the winner. All right, I said. You're privileged if you get to eat in Mr. K's room. Mr. K has all these games he keeps in the cabinet at the lunchtime. It's sort of club and everything. You can eat there if A, you're a straight A student, B, if Mr. K likes and invites you, which is not often, or C, if you know for sure you're gonna get jumped that day if you play outside, you beg Mr. K really, really hard to let you stay. I'm somewhere in between the B and C category. If you're a bad egg like Billy, who is single-handedly responsible for my C situation, you ain't never ever gonna get to eat there and play a game, that's for sure. So, Cowden refugee, I say, let's go grab lunch, then we'll come back here for the speed tournament, what you said. But the new kid said nothing. He just stared at me and blinked like I'm some kind of strange animal that he had never seen before or something. Come on, I said, and waved him toward me. Come on, follow me, the line's getting longer by the suck. And so he finally did. We stood in line with nothing to do, so I asked him, hey Cal, where'd you get them funny shoes? No understand, he said and smiled. No speak English. Shoes, I said. Bata, bata. And I pointed, and he looked down. "Oh, shoes," he said. His eyes shining, black and white eye, like he just found out for the first time that he was wearing shoes. "Shoes, Saigon." "Yeah," I said. "Guess I can buy me some here in good old US of A then." "Mine Adidas. They're as old as Mrs. Hamilton. Prehistoric if you ask me. But they're still Adidas." "Adidas." "Go ahead, Cal, say it." "Adidas shoes," Cal said. "Adidas." "That's right," I say. "Very good, Cal. Adidas shoes and yours, they're Bata shoes." And Cal said, "They're Bata shoes." And we both looked at each other and grinned like idiots. And that's when Billy showed up. "Why you want them gook shoes anyway?" he said, and cut in between us. But nobody behind in line said nothing because it's Billy. "Why not?" I said, trying to sound tough. "Bata sounds kind of nice, Billy. They're from Saigon." "Bata shoes," the new kid said again, trying to impress Billy. But Billy wasn't impressed. "My daddy said them VCs don't wear shoes," he said. "They wear sandals made from Jeep tires and they live in fucking tunnels like moles and they eat bugs and snakes for lunch. Then afterwards they go up and take sniper shots at you with their AK-47s. "He don't look like he live in no tunnel," I said. "Maybe not him," said Billy, "but his daddy, I'm sure. Isn't that right, refugee boy? Your daddy a VC? Your daddy the one that gave my daddy that goddamn scar?" The new kid didn't say nothing. You could tell he pretty much figured it out, that Billy's an asshole, because you don't need no English for that. But all he could say was, "No understand," and "Shoes Adidas," and those ain't no comeback lines, and he knew it. So he just bit his lip and blushed and kept looking at me with them eyes. So I don't know why. Maybe because I didn't want him to know that I belonged to the C category, or maybe because he kept looking at me with those eyes. But I said, "Leave him alone, Billy." I was kind of surprised that I said it. And Billy turned and looked at me like he was shocked too. Like he just saw me for the first time or something. Then in this loud sing-song voice, he said, "Bobby's protecting his new boyfriend. Hey, everybody, look, Bobby's got a boyfriend and he's gonna suck his VC's dick after lunch." When everybody started to look, the new kid kept looking at me like he was waiting to see what I was gonna do next. What I usually do next is shut my trap and pretend that I was invisible, or try to not to cry like the last time when Billy got me in a headlock in the locker room and called me sissy over and over again because I missed the softball at PE, even when it was an easy catch. But not now. Now I couldn't pretend to be invisible because too many people were looking. It was like I didn't have a choice. It was like now or never. So I say, "You know what, Billy, don't mind if I do. I'm sure anything is bigger than yours." And everybody in line say, "Oh." "Fuck you, you little faggot," Billy said. "No thanks, Billy," I said. "I already got me a new boyfriend, remember?" Everybody say, "Oh," again. And Billy looked real mad. Then I got more scared than mad, my blood pumping. I thought, "Oh my God, what have I done? I'm gonna get my lights punched out for sure." But then God delivers stupid Becky. She suddenly stuck her head in. "Oh, and he's cute too," she said. "Almost as cute as you, Bobby, a blonde and a brunette. You two would make a nice faggot couple. I'm sure, promise me to name your firstborn after me, okay?" So I tore at her. That girl could never jump me, not in a zillion years. "And I'm sure you're a slut," I said. "I'm sure you get down with anything that moves. I'm sure there are litters of stray mutts already named after you. You know, Bitch Becky 1, Bitch Becky 2, and let's not forget Bow Wow Becky Jr. And Becky said, "Asshole," and looked away and everybody cracked up, even mean old Billy. "Man," he said, shaking his head, "you got some mean mouth on you today." It was like suddenly I was too funny or famous for him to beat up. But after he bought his burger and chocolate milk, he said it real loud so everybody can hear. He said, "I'll see you two bitches later, outside." "Sure, Billy," I said and waved to him. "Yeah, see you later." And then after we grabbed our lunch, the new kid and me, we made a beeline for Mr. K's. Boy, it was good to be in Mr. K's, I tell you. You don't have to watch over your shoulder every other second. You can play whatever game you want. Or you can read or just talk. So we ate, and afterward I showed the new kid how to play speed. He was a quick learner too, if you ask me, but he lost pretty early on in the tournament. Then I lost too, pretty damn quickly after him. So we sat around and I flipped through the X-Men comic book and tried to explain to the new kid why Wolverine is so cool because he can heal himself with his mutant factor. And he had claws that cut through metal. And Phoenix, she's my favorite. Phoenix so cool because she can talk to you psychically and she knows how everybody feels without even having to ask them. And best of all, she can lift an 18-wheeler with her psychokinetic energy. That's way cool, don't you think, Cal? The new kid, he listened and nodded to everything I said, like he understood. Anyway, after a while, there were more losers than winners, and the losers surrounded us and interrogated the new kid like he was a POW or something. You ever shoot anybody, Cal Long? Did you see anybody get killed? Say Long. How long have you been here? Long? Ha ha ha. They hear they eat dogs over there. Is that true? Long? Have you ever eaten a dog? Have you ever seen a helicopter blown up like in the movies? No understand. The new kid answered to each question and smiled and shook his head or waved his hands like shooting flies, but the loser of flies wouldn't shoot. I mean, where else would they go? Mr. Case was it. So the new kid looked at me again with them eyes and I said, "Oh, okay, Cal, I'll teach you something else. Why don't you say, 'Hey, fuckheads, leave me alone'? Go ahead, Cal, say it." "Hey, fuckheads," he said, looking at me. "Leave me alone," I said, looking at him. "Leave me alone," he said. "Hey, fuckheads, leave me alone." And everybody laughed. I guess that was the first time they got called fuckheads and actually felt good about it. But Mr. K said, "Robert Quentin Mitchell, you watch your mouth or you never come in here again." But you could tell he was trying not to laugh himself. So I said, "Okay, Mr. K," but I leaned over and whispered, "Hey, fuckheads, leave me alone." Again in the new kid's ear so he remembered. And he looked at me like I'm the coolest guy in the world. Then after school, when I was waiting for my bus, the new kid found me. He gave me a folded piece of paper, and before I could say anything, he blushed and ran away. You never guess what it was. It was a drawing of me. And it was really, really good. I was smiling in it. I looked real happy and older, like a sophomore or something. Not like the in the sixth grade yearbook picture where I looked so goofy with my eyes closed and everything, and I had to sign my name over it so people would look. When I got home, I taped it on my family tree chart and pinned the chart on my bedroom, and I swear, the whole room had this vague eucalyptus smell. Next day, at Show and Tell, Billy made the new kid cry. He went after Jimmy. Jimmy was this total nerd with glasses who told us how very challenging it was to do the New York Times crossword word puzzles, because you got to know words like ubiquitous and undulate and capricious, totally lame and bogus stuff like that. When he took so long just to do 5 across and 7 horizontal, we shot spitballs at him, and Mr. K said, "Stop that." But we got rid of that capricious, undulating bozo ubiquitously fast. And that was when Billy came up and made the new kid cry. He brought in his daddy's army uniform and a stack of old magazines. He unfolded the uniform with the name Baxter sewed on the U.S. Army and put it on a chair. Then he opened one magazine and showed a picture of this naked and bleeding little girl running and crying on this road while these houses behind him were burnt on fire.
That's napalm, he said, and it eats into your skin and burns for a long, long time. This girl, Billy said, she got burned real bad, see there? Yeah. Then he showed another picture of this monk sitting cross-legged, and he was on fire and everything, and there were people standing behind him crying, but nobody tried to put the poor man out. That's what you call self-immolation, Billy said. They do that all the time in Nam. This man, he poured gasoline on himself and lit a match because he didn't like the government. Then Billy showed another picture of dead people in black pajamas along this road, and he said, these are VCs, and my dad got at least a dozen of them before he was wounded himself. My dad told me if it weren't for them beatniks and hippies, we could have won. And that's when the new kid buried his face in his arms and cried, and I could see his skinny shoulders go up and down like waves. That's enough, Billy Baxter, Mr. K said. You can sit down now, thank you. Oh man, Billy said, I didn't get to the part about how my dad got the scar. That's the best part. Never mind, Mr. K said, sit down please. I'm not sure whether you understood the assignment, but you were supposed to do an oral presentation of what you've done or something that has to do with you, a hobby or personal project, not the atrocities in China. Then Mr. K looked at the new kid like he didn't know what to do next. That war, he said, I swear. After that, it got real quiet in the room and all you could hear was the new kid sobbing. Cal, Mr. K said finally, real quiet, like he didn't really want to bother him. Cal, are you alright? Cal longed in. The new kid didn't answer Mr. K, so I put my hand on his shoulder and shook a little. Hey Cal, I said, you okay? Then it was like I pressed an on button or something, because all of a sudden Cal raised his head and stood up. He looked at me and then he looked at the blackboard. He looked at me again and then the blackboard. Then he marched right up there, even though it was Roger's turn next, and Roger, he already brought his 2 pet snakes and everything. But Cal didn't care. Maybe he thought it was his turn because Mr. K called his name. And so he just grabbed a bunch of colored chalks on Mr. K's desk and started to draw like a wild man. And Mr. K, he let him. We all stared. He was really, really good. But I guess I already knew that. He first drew a picture of a boy sitting on a water buffalo, and then he drew this rice field in green. Then he drew another boy on another water buffalo, and they seemed to be racing. He drew another kids running along the bank with their kites in the sky, and you could tell that they were laughing and yelling, having a good time. And he started to draw little houses on both sides of this river, and the river ran toward the ocean, and the ocean had big old waves. Kyle drew a couple standing outside this very nice house holding hands, and underneath them Kyle wrote Ba and Ma. Then he turned and looked straight at me, his eyes still wet with tears. Robert, he said, tapping the pictures with his chalk. His voice sad but expecting. Robert. Me, I said. I felt kind of dizzy. Everybody was looking back and forth between him and me now, like we were tossing a softball between us or something. Robert. Cal said my name again and kept looking at me until I said, What do you want, Cal? Cal tapped the blackboard with his chalk again, and I saw in my head the picture of myself taped on my family tree. And then, I don't know how, but I just kind of knew. So I took a deep breath and I say, okay. Cal say he used to live in this village with his mama and papa near the river, and the river runs into the sea. And Cal nodded and smiled and waved his chalk in a circle like he was saying, Go on, Robert Quentin Mitchell, you're doing fine, go on. So I went on, and he went on. I talked, he drew, we fell into a rhythm. He had a good time racing them water buffalo.